All right, we're gonna be doing a chuck roast. I've got like a 3.5 pounder right here. Um, Spices that I'm gonna be creating the bok with are rosemary and garlic, celery salt, just light celery salt because I don't want to dry it out. Just add a little bit of flavor. Also loosen up some of these tendons in here. I'm gonna be using a little bit of Memphis Pit barbecue, which has brown sugar in it, a little bit of extra salt. It's got some cumin. Let me pull it up right here. It's got sugar, brown sugar, salt, chili pepper, cinnamon, thyme, onion, paprika, garlic, sunflower oil, and some other spices in there. Just to add a little bit of flavor so I don't have to gather all those things together. We also got a South African spice. It's bright spice right here. Choice Select. Good stuff in a grinder. Picked it up when we were on our last trip to South Africa. Cayenne pepper, because we like a little bit of heat. But not too much heat. Because my daughters will be eating this. If it was for me and my wife, then it wouldn't be an issue. Mild and spicy curry powder. Raja is another one from South Africa. Very good stuff. Very authentic flavor. I mean, I do also carry, in the house, always have on hand, like the cheap stuff. You know, this stuff on hand always. That's good for a quick, kids meal, whatever. You just want to put together some inexpensive or easily prepared curry, chicken. That's easy to go by, but this is what I'm going to be using. I've defrosted it a little bit, or rather let it get towards room temperature. It's still a little bit frozen right here in the center, but what I really want is to make sure that it's going to be able to absorb all these spices, and the texture that it's at right now is going to be perfect for that. So I'm going to spice this up right now, and then I'll get right back to you. These are supposed to be a rub, so you want to make sure you rub them in there. I always do. Make sure I rub it right into the meat. Get it in there, especially in any crevices. Get in there, don't be afraid to get your hands dirty. What I usually do with a chuck roast, it's a denser meat, some sort of denser, more used part of the body, is I will do a brine for the meat, not like like with the turkey or a chicken, but I'll do a salt brine, and I usually leave it in there for just a couple of hours as opposed to what you would do for like a turkey, which may be a day or a couple days. But for this, I don't want to do a brine. No reason in particular, just not looking to really do it. But as you can see the crystals from the sugar are on there, and I'm gonna be adding a savory sauce to this afterwards, which is just gonna be one that I'm gonna put together. It's gonna have some Maggi, some Worcestershire sauce, and a couple other things in there just to make a savory sauce, which will complement the sweetness from the sugar nicely. So I'm going to get this ready to stick in my smoker. I'm going to be using a MES or a Masterbuilt electric smoker. I do have the charcoal one, but it's like 11 o'clock at night, and this is going to be in the smoker for about 13 hours. Got a lot of work to do tomorrow, so I just want to leave this in there for about 13 hours, have this ready to go when I get back from taking care of my work today. So this should come out perfectly just in time for that. So I've got my Masterbuilt set up out here. It's already been preheated to 170, or it's in the process. It's going to get up to 190 or so, but I'm going to stick it in now because it's going to be in there for, like I said, 13 hours at a bare minimum. So, and I'm going to be using hickory wood. It's a much more flavorful wood. It's also a little bit of a spicy wood, which is going to work well with the cayenne pepper and the curry powder that we have in there. Like I said, I usually like to relax the meat with the salt, but as you can see, it's glazed nicely with the sugar and the other spices that I used. So this is going to come out really nicely, and I'll get back to you when this is done. So just a quick note on the loading of the chips. There's plenty of videos out there for anybody who hasn't seen this, but you load your chips in the side loader right here. You can use hunks of hunks of charcoal as well, but I'm not gonna be doing that for this one. This is a pretty simple job. So load it in there, give it a twist. I've got my cup here full of wood chips. This is probably all that I'm going to be adding. This is just a extra cup that I keep around. 16-ounce clean cup of sour cream, fat-free. But 16 ounces, fill the container with it. So I keep my my thicker meats like this one at the top rack. I want the smoke to rise up, but I don't want it too close to the heating element, because that's where all the heat's at the bottom of your smoker. So you don't want it to burn or cook too quickly. You want it to really cook with the smoke. So especially for something like 13 hours, I'm going to keep it a little bit higher in the elevation. And like I said, I may end up pushing this out to 15, 16 hours. And you see, I don't really do a whole lot of maintenance inside of my smoker. Most of this is, all this is just caked on seasoning, and this is just going to give your food that much more complexity, especially seeing as though this is a electric smoker. You want it to get as close as possible as it is, or as it can be, to a charcoal or wood burning smoker. So that's why I got a lot of the cake in here from previous cooks. But I give it a nice, I do clean it off afterwards, but I give it a nice wipe down, and then just go right at it again, kind of like what you would do during grilling season with any other regular grill. But yeah, that's just a side note on the placement. So that's a beautiful piece of meat. It's already got some color from the curry. And like I said, that glaze looks beautiful from the sugar and spice mixture that I put on there. It's gonna come out perfectly. This is a side note on the seasoning. I did add a extra layer of black pepper in there, just to give it a little bit more spice and complexity in terms of the heat. So I'll get back to it. Right, so it's about 2 hours in. So I actually moved my smoker. We're at what, 4 hours in. It's at 180 still. Just give you a look at what happens in here. There that smoke is. There he is so far. Ask any African living in America what sauce they have on hand. At least from for our family, so South African, Zimbabwean. This is the stuff you gotta have on hand. Absolutely improves the taste. I'm gonna let you in on a little secret. Whenever I use sauces on any of my meats when I'm grilling, I don't use a bowl or some of the other options for my basting utensil. I just use a plain old cup. I like a narrow glass cup. That way I'm certain that and I use a silicone brush, that way it's easier to clean. But I'm certain that when I'm getting my sop, it's evenly coated every time, all the way down to the bottom. I find that with bowls, sometimes you end up scraping the sides and all that other nonsense. With a cup rather, especially one of these narrow glass cups, you want to use a glass. I use a glass cup because I don't want the sauce. There's a lot of sugar and other things that are in the sauce. I don't want that stuff caked up in a plastic cup. It's harder for the sauce and whatnot to get out of a plastic cup. You can also end up with some of these flavors ending up staining the sides of your cup. So I use a glass cup, and it's pretty deep, as you can see. That way I'm able to make sure that it's evenly blended. I've got probably about 4 or 5 different ingredients in this sauce right here. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna start just basting it lightly. Like I said, we got another 9 hours to go, but I want to get it. Oh, look at all that smoke. It's real, unedited. But anyways, I want to make sure that I get a lot of that sauce to cook into the meat. You know, the meat's still a ways away from being fully cooked through, so and I'm probably going to lower the temperature down here to show you how easy that is to do. It's telling me that it's heating again because the door's open. I'm going to lower it down to 155. I'm going to use my meat thermometer. Probably about 5 hours. I haven't gotten to sleep yet, but work's taking a little bit longer tonight than I expected it to. But anyways, yeah, so I'm gonna sop that on here right now. I'll show you, it's only 170 degrees in there right now, so you can touch the metal. It's not, you know, it's not that hot. That is unbearable. Anyways, hold on a second. And I want the taste to be a little bit more complex, so I'm not gonna baste both sides. I want, you know, when my wife and my daughters bite into this, you know, one side they get more of a pronounced flavor from the sauce, the other side is all seasoning and all meat. So there we are. And I'll come back out here in another 45 minutes, an hour or so, and check on it and add a little bit more sauce if need be. Let's see. So I'm gonna check it out here with a fork to see those fibers. Got a nice smoke ring in there already. And you can see we could obviously use a bit more time. So that's where we're gonna give her. I'm concerned about burning, so I'm actually gonna make a smokestack here. What I do is just cover it, not all the way. Just enough to protect it, especially along the edges, just where it's more prone to burning. Alright, so this is completed. Total time was actually a lot shorter than I thought it would be, closer to about 10 hours. Probably about 9.5. As you see, it came out really nicely. Meat's pulling away from the bone. It's perfect. It's cooked all the way through, and it's got a nice little caramel glaze on it, still shiny like it was before. That's the glaze and also the rub that I used. Show you. See that? Yeah, it's good. You know, see right there. But the meat, the way the meat cuts away. Last thing, you just want to make sure that you wrap it up tight. With any beef, you want to wrap it up tight afterwards. Just let it settle. So that's what I'm doing here. I'll wrap it up and I'll enjoy it in a short while.